Hi, my name is David Young. I'm a public relations coordinator with the City of Fort Collins. And today, joining me is Mike Calhoun with the Parks Department. Mike, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, David.
And today we're undergoing our last in a series of education about West Nile virus. And today specifically we'll be discussing adulticiding, or spraying, our aspect of spraying for mosquitoes infected with West Nile virus. So Mike, start by just telling us a little bit about our adulticiding program and how it is that the city decides to spray for mosquitoes with West Nile virus.
The goal of the program is to reduce the risk of West Nile virus in the community, and at the same time be very cautious about the human health and environmental impacts that might be had through the implementation of the program. We do this through an integrated pest management model. That pest management model has thresholds and triggers in it for action. So once we hit certain levels of risk in that program, then certain actions take place. For instance, earlier in the season, we were focusing a lot on our outreach and education,
Yes.
Our prevention, source reduction, larviciding, and those are the earlier videos that we did that try to educate people on how we're providing our program. But we do have a couple of very important triggers in our integrated pest management program that are our vector index, which our trigger point is at 0.75, and then also our multiple human cases in a week here in Fort Collins. And those two coupled together, when that happens, there's a recommendation that will come from the county health department for an application of adulticide. And that goes to the city manager, and then the city manager has the ultimate decision-making authority to initiate that application.
So tell me a bit more about the vector index for somebody who might not be familiar with the vector index, what exactly that is, and also why is it that we have these thresholds with this vector index and the human cases before deciding to spray?
Well, the vector index is a calculation that takes into account the abundance of the type of mosquito that carries the virus and the infection rate of those mosquitoes. So that calculation puts those two numbers together, and we come out with a threshold or an index that we can use, a numerical index that's recommended by the CDC. So the reason we have the two thresholds together with the index and the human health cases is because those two coupled together show an elevated level of risk of transmission of the virus in town. So the mosquitoes, we trap them on a weekly basis. We see the virus in the mosquito population, and then whenever human cases start showing up, we know that it's made its way into the human population, and now that's where our threshold says we need to take a more aggressive response to the risk.
And one thing that is new this year that many residents might not be aware of is the zone approach. Can you discuss the different zones that we have in the city this year and kind of how that works with the program?
Yeah, per our review process last winter with our technical advisory committee, the recommendation that was accepted by council was to break the town into 4 zones. And we break it on the line of College Avenue and Drake. So what we want to do with those 4 zones is we want to target our responses. So for instance, earlier in the year when the southeast side of town had some positive traps come back, we initiated the door hanger program, where we go out with the door hangers and we tell people on the door hangers, hey, pay attention. You know, be aware, there's positive mosquitoes in your area of town. So we focus our response to them. Now, if we got to the point where we had the multiple cases in town, and then one of those zones gets over 0.75, that would be the zone that we would expect a recommendation to come from the county for.
That makes sense, definitely. So to get to that recommendation, there's quite a process in place for this. Can you elaborate a bit on how the process works that leads up to spraying?
Yeah, David. You know, the process of making the decision to adulticide or spray this insecticide across town, it's a very thoughtful and deliberate process. Many hours, many meetings during the off season, many reviews with council to come up with the appropriate thresholds and triggers so that we're at the point where we have a level of risk that's unacceptable to us anymore before we're going to take a very, very serious response to that risk. We use data. We have 53 traps a week that are set from the 1st of June to the end of August. We collect those mosquitoes, they're speciated, they're pooled, they're sent to CSU so that they can be tested for the presence of West Nile. And then the calculation of the vector index is broken out into the 4 zones and an overall calculation for town made. And then we have, when we get to the point where we do an adulticide application, a lot of people question why we have to do it on 2 different nights. So this is probably more about mosquitoes than you ever wanted to know, but if you have to try to break the transmission cycle, which is our goal, because we are never going to eliminate the risk, we're never going to kill every mosquito, but what we want to do is reduce the risk of West Nile virus transmission in town. So if you're going to break that transmission cycle, what you have to do is you spray on whatever the first night is you choose, whatever day of the week it is. Mm-hmm. And when you do your application that night, the mosquitoes that you're actually going to eliminate are the ones that are what we call host seeking. The ones that are out there looking for a meal, a blood meal, to finish their reproductive cycle. So they need that to go through their natural cycle. Those are the ones that we're actually going to knock out of the air and take care of that first night. The other ones that are out there that have already had their blood meals and they're looking to lay their eggs, their metabolism is going so fast that they actually metabolize the poison, and they are not controlled. So they have to lay their eggs in 3 days, within 3 days. Mm-hmm. Once they do that, they go back on that host seeking, and that's why we have to spray that 3rd or 5th day later.
That makes sense. So once we decide to spray, there's certain actions that take place, and one of the primary ones is communication. Can you speak a bit to how the city will then go about communicating to residents that spraying is going to be occurring?
There's many different methods that are in place and ready to go if we do have to provide an application. And in the notification side of things, the print media, the radio, the social media aspects, we even have an email subscription list that people can sign up online at fcgov.com/West Nile. And they will be notified if there's an application pending.
And when the application does occur, what should residents do?
Well, when it occurs, what we ask people to do is to stay inside, close your doors and windows for 30 to 60 minutes after the truck goes by. It's really a weather condition situation. When the application happens and the ultra-low volume truck mounted sprayer goes by, it's designed to put the fog in the air for 30 minutes if there's no drift. If there's a little bit more of a breeze, of course, it'll dissipate quicker. So what you can do is you can actually monitor the progress of the spray trucks online on our website, and you can see when the truck goes by your particular neighborhood, and that'll give you an extra opportunity to open up your windows at a more appropriate time. We know that not everybody has air conditioning. We know that it's hot in the middle of summer. I mean, this is why the mosquitoes are breeding so quickly. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to take that extra step of notification with the GPS units to help people be more comfortable on those nights that if we have to do this application.
One question we often get is, what if a resident does not want to be sprayed? Can you speak to that? What if somebody would like to not be sprayed?
Well, there's a couple of different groups that we've allowed an opt-out program for. Mm-hmm. The first one is the Colorado State Department of Agriculture has a pesticide-sensitive registry. And that's a registry where people can apply to this registry so that they can be notified of any type of a pesticide application around their homes. It does not preclude an application by a neighbor or someone down the road, but a notification system. We take it one step farther. What we did was we took that registry, because to get onto that registry you have to have a licensed physician's certification that you have a pesticide sensitivity.
Yes.
And so we take it that step further, and we use that registry to try to avoid those homes from any drift. We can't guarantee it because we're dealing once again with weather and wind, but we try to avoid those homes from having any drift from our application. So that's the first category that gets opted out, and that happens automatically for those folks. The second category is a subscription piece, and this year through our review process, we heard from the organic farming community that they wanted to have some type of an opt-out program, and we thought about it a little bit more broad, and we didn't think that it necessarily should just apply to the organic farming community, but it should apply to any business. So we came up with a business opt-out program. It's very simple. Once again, you go to our website, you click on the business opt-out program. There's a one-page form that you fill out where we're asking you for contact information, we're asking you for your business information, and then we want to know why this application of Adulticide would cause you a long-term financial impact. And once we have that information in hand, we'll schedule a site visit with our contractor to your business so that we can make sure that you are doing all you can to reduce the sources of mosquitoes. So you may not realize it, but your gutters could be breeding mosquitoes. There's all kinds of things. It's kind of coupled hand in hand with our backyard inspection program that we already provide to residents. So it's just like that, but it's at a business now. And so we're going to try to help people help themselves by not producing mosquitoes. And then also on top of it, we provide educational information that you can use with your own employees of your business or your customers. So those are the two groups of people that are allowed an opt-out program in our system.
What about the chemical that is sprayed? What exactly is that, and is it safe?
Well, the active ingredient of the chemical that we're spraying is permethrin.
Okay.
And it's the least toxic chemical that we know that's registered by the EPA that's licensed for this type of an application. So we don't use malathion or any organophosphates that still might be registered. We're using permethrin. And permethrin is a synthetic version of a naturally occurring compound in the chrysanthemum plant. So we're doing all we can with what we have. And if, we're constantly on the lookout for more environmentally friendly products. If we had something that was environmentally friendly as our larvicide product, for instance, then we would go to that. But we haven't seen anything yet that's been licensed.
Definitely. Speaking of environmentally friendly, we know that there's a lot of residents who have gardens or pets and things that they would like to protect from pesticides or any sort of spraying. What do you advise they do when spraying occurs?
Well, when it comes to your pets, we pretty much encourage you to do the same thing you do for yourself. Take your pets inside, keep your windows closed 30, 60 minutes. Once it's dry, the exposure is going to be very, very, very limited. As far as your gardens, first off, do what you should do every time, which is you harvest any of your fruits and vegetables, you wash them, because sunlight, the product degrades in sunlight and water. So you wash those vegetables and fruit off before you eat them. If you're really concerned about the pesticides, you can always cover your garden, with some type of a plastic sheet or tarp.
So is there anything else that you can think of, Mike, that residents should be aware of or that they should know about our Adulticiding program as we enter the height of West Nile virus season this year?
Probably the most important thing, David, is that we're all in this together. We all live in this community. We're all being exposed to this risk. And as this amplifies, we all need to do what we can to protect ourselves and our families from contracting West Nile. It's not a nice thing to get. And we don't want to see anybody, especially, contract the neuroinvasive version of West Nile. So we're all in this together. Help your neighbors, help your friends, educate them if you see something on their properties. And remember that we don't take this, especially this part of our program, the Adulticiding part of our program, we don't take this lightly. The whole organization thinks a lot around this problem, how we can do it better, how we can work smarter and provide the best product out there that we can. And always keeping an eye on the goal of reducing the risk of West Nile in the community. That's really what we want to do. And if we don't have to spray in a year, that's great. But if we get to the point where the weather gets wet like it's been this year, it gets very hot, and the virus amplifies, that may be the last tool that we have in our toolbox. And hopefully a limited application will provide the control that we need or the break in that transmission cycle that we're looking for, so that we can reduce the risk and people can enjoy their summers in Fort Collins.
Definitely. Well, Mike, thank you for your time today. Obviously, adulticiding, spraying for West Nile virus mosquitoes is a hot topic here in Fort Collins, and we're glad that we can provide some more information around this. Remember, this summer, utilize the 4 Ds. Make sure to drain any standing water, to dress properly, to wear that DEET or insect repellent, and also limit your time outside during dusk and dawn to help limit your chance of getting West Nile virus. You're definitely the first line in defense against this disease, so we encourage all citizens to adhere to the 4Ds. Also, if you'd like more information on West Nile virus, please go to fcgov.com/West Nile, where you can find all this information and more. Thank you for your time, and be safe out there.